Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Kim Miller begins now.
Well, a man has died following a single vehicle crash at Fawcett. It's believed the victim suffered a medical episode before losing control at the intersection of Lakeland Drive and Lewisham Road. Police are continuing investigations. Interest rate pressure is starting to be felt in Tasmania. A local mother of 2 is speaking out about her experience while thanking charities like St Vincent de Paul who have helped her during tough times.
Cost of living pressures are taking a toll on Tasmanians. Mother of 2, Chris, is feeling the pinch and struggling to make ends meet.
I should be able to manage. I usually can manage. So it makes it hard. You know, I don't like asking for help, but you've got to do what you've got to do to survive.
An emotional moment for a hard-working parent. Chris spoke out on how rising rates are impacting her family.
I have a mortgage and I'm a full-time carer, and the interest rates for the mortgage are going to really start biting soon, and the cost of everything, petrol, you know, like everybody, we're going to feel it really bad.
Caring for 2 children living with a disability while surviving on a carer's pension. Her family having to scale back to manage, including her son taking the bus to school to save pennies on petrol.
You can't make the dollar stretch any further than $1 will go. So, you know, it's really hard, and it's going to get harder.
It comes as petrol prices are reaching all-time highs, currently at $2.40 for unleaded in the state's north. Meanwhile, consumer confidence has collapsed in the wake of the energy crisis. New data shows nearly 90% of Australians are highly concerned that energy will become unaffordable over the next 3 years.
I'm not sure what I'm going to do.
But local charities like St Vincent de Paul are stepping in to help relieve the pressure.
In the 6 months to June this year, we've provided in excess of $33,000 to those vulnerable in our community to assist with their energy costs, compared to $12,000 for the previous 6 months. So we have seen a double, in fact, 250% increase in support.
Helping 95 families across the state, thanks to a collaboration between Vinnies and the Salvation Army.
It's an issue that St Vincent de Paul can't solve by ourselves. We need to work together with other charities to be able to meet the needs of those that are vulnerable in our community.
Chris's message, a sign of positivity in dark times.
Still have hope and have faith that there are people out there that can help you.
McKenna Bailey, 7 Tasmania News.
Tasmania's Police Commissioner has apologised to victim survivors of paedophile nurse James Griffin for not properly investigating allegations of abuse when they were first reported.
It has been confronting to hear the impact that Griffin's offending has had on the lives of victim survivors and their families. And even more confronting to know there are opportunities where we could have put a stop to that offending.
It follows the Health Department Secretary issuing an apology for failures within the health service yesterday. Tasmanians are being warned to expect another wave of COVID in the coming months. And while the government isn't looking to reintroduce a mask mandate, it's strongly encouraging the wearing of one.
A daily COVID update for the first time in months.
Sadly, I can confirm a man in his 90s in the north of the state has passed away with COVID-19.
1,700 new cases, 16 cases in hospital, 2 in the ICU, and more than 8,000 cases now active.
Case numbers are now definitely high. They're similar to what we were seeing during the rise in BA2 Omicron strain in March and April this year.
And we're bracing for things to get worse.
Public health advice is that this is expected to peak in around August or September.
This is the 5th wave of infections that's occurred nationally and the 4th wave of infection that's occurred in Tasmania.
The government say our hospitals are prepared.
We have appropriate PPE and infection prevention control measures in place, and we're responding to the increase in demand that caseload presents.
But it's not giving in to increasing pressure to reintroduce a mask mandate.
If you want to manage COVID, masks alone are not likely to be effective at a population level given the highly transmissible strains that we're seeing.
They say they'll take ATAGI's advice about recommending a fourth dose to those under 65 and are urging people to speak to their doctors about available treatments. But Labor is calling for more planning ahead of the incoming wave.
We need to hear from the Premier what his plan is to ensure that when we're asking people to do the right thing and stay home from work when they're sick, that they're supported to do that. People don't have weeks and weeks of sick leave up their sleeve anymore.
Talia Jordan, 7 Tasmania News.
Tasmania's first dedicated remand centre has officially opened, set to start housing inmates in a few weeks' time. It's hoped the centre will alleviate overcrowding issues in the prison system and prevent reoffending.
A brand new fit-for-purpose facility ready to house 150 inmates. These cells are where detainees on remand will be kept under lock and key.
Our first modern new facility for our remandees, that's people that haven't yet been convicted or are unsentenced.
Chess, ping pong and air hockey, some of the entertainment on offer, along with a modern gym.
You know, in many ways it looks as least like a prison as possible. It's light, it's airy, it's colourful. And it gives prisoners access to the type of services and the type of engagement that they need.
A recruitment campaign is also underway to employ more correctional officers, hoping to address staffing shortfalls, with lockdowns often used as a quick fix for prisoner overcrowding.
Because this has been a problem for some time. It is creating an unsafe work environment for those correctional officers. It's creating the opposite of a therapeutic environment in terms of any rehabilitation for inmates.
The reason for our intensive recruitment campaign is to ensure that we do have enough staff, and we will have enough staff.
This facility will have a strong focus on rehabilitation for remandees, where they can access health, legal and welfare services to prevent reoffending.
With the removal of remandees from the remainder of our facilities and the relief of bed pressures, we can really focus even more intently on the rehabilitation needs of everybody that's in our custody.
The remand centre is set to open later this month. Ainsley Kosh, 7 Tasmania News.
A man who survived a suicide attempt has shared his story of strength in a hope to help others struggling with their mental health. Matt Caruana played an important part in this year's Tasmanian Prevention Forum, dedicated to opening up the conversation.
At just 16 years old, a battle with his own self-worth led Matt Caruana to breaking point.
It was after I attempted suicide, which I'm going to say now was the best thing that ever happened to me. By no means is suicide good, but it laid out a path for me to find my purpose.
Now living with a hope to one day walk again, the 22-year-old is using his plight to help others living under the dark cloud.
A big thing that I'm focused on is connection. It's one thing that I lacked for years and one thing we all need. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. It's hard to see when you're in the midst of it all, of course.
He shared his challenges at Tasmania's Suicide Prevention Forum, which returned after its 2-year hiatus, delivering crucial lessons to the state's service providers.
And suddenly you're getting multiple people from different points of view attacking this problem of, the problem of suicide prevention and how we can do it effectively.
The data showing between 60 and 100 Tasmanians claim their own lives each year.
It's about the conversations that you have every day and making sure that you reduce stigma and making sure that people feel comfortable that if they are struggling that they can talk to someone.
The state government is still in the process of developing Tasmania's third suicide prevention strategy, which is being guided by lived experience. It's expected to be released by the end of the year.
Any one person that dies by suicide in Tasmania is far too much, and we need to make huge inroads. We have more to do.
As the faces behind the statistics continue to push for change.
Look, I'm the result of what poor mental health or bad mental health really led to, though I'm also representation that there is another side to it all.
Grace Evans, 7 Tasmania News.
And if this story raised any concerns, you can contact Lifeline on 13 11 14. Tas Racing's boss is quitting as the industry prepares to implement changes following a review. Paul Erickson will return to Sydney following his last day on Friday, citing family reasons. Tas Racing says Mr Erickson and the board agreed the time was right for change before the outcomes of a review into the Racing Regulation Act come into force. One of Tasmania's daily newspapers didn't make it to print overnight because of a mechanical failure. Bedlam at the Examiner's print centre at Rochalee after even its backup plan broke down, meaning no newspapers landed on the region's front lawns.
Morning routines disrupted as the Examiner newspaper failed to go to print for the first time in almost 2 centuries.
It's certainly not a morning that you plan for when you're the editor of a newspaper, but there was a mechanic failure at the press centre and unfortunately it couldn't be fixed.
The Age, the Financial Review and the Advocate making it to print. But things went wrong when it was the Examiner's turn.
The main compressor was down, the backup compressor lost the belt, and unfortunately it's not a standard belt that you just have on the shelf.
The issue occurring just after midnight. By 2 a.m. it was clear today's news wouldn't be delivered on time.
The night crew last night did everything in their power. They wanted to have it out there as much as what the readers want to pick it up off the front lawn.
News agencies left to break the news of the malfunction to their customers.
I was initially surprised because it's never happened before. I've been here 23 years and never happened.
They were hit with a mixed reaction.
Some people have said, "Oh, right," and walked out the door, and other people have argued and said they needed a paper and they had to have a paper and, can they go somewhere else and get one? It's been quite funny, some people's reaction.
Examiner is the voice of the North, and so not to be able to open your voice of the North and read that in the morning would come as a great shock and a great loss to many people, because that's where their news comes from.
Dedicated readers voicing their concerns about the Love publication.
Our subscribers have shown us today that they do still care about the print product.
Good news for all loyal readers.
Please be assured we'll be on the street tomorrow.
Talia Jordan, 7 Tasmania News.
Art for the eyes and ears will be on display at Launceston's Queen Victoria Art Gallery tomorrow night. Renowned Tasmanian artist Tony Smybert is teaming up with local harpist Emily Sanzaro to create an improvised work inspired by music.
The idea of it, from my perspective, is that Tony will be following his practice and I'll be following mine, but hopefully inspiring each other.
Neither of us know what's going to happen. It could be a disaster from my end, it won't be from hers, but anything could happen with the painting.
Tickets to the live painting to live music performance can be purchased through the QV Mag website. Tasmania's forestry sector is set to expand with a local initiative targeting farmers in the north. Active Acre is a first of its kind program incentivising farmers to grow trees on their land.
Northern Tasmanian farmers are branching out through a new local program. Active Acre is expanding the forestry sector in Tasmania by providing farmers an opportunity to lease unproductive land in return for a reliable annual income.
The goal of the program really, I would say, is threefold. One is to create kind of a win-win outcome with the rural community and our forestry investors. The second is to produce more sustainable timber that we can use to support the industry here, and I think the third is to make a positive contribution to climate change.
Farmer Tim Wallace is already seeing some of the benefits.
We've got a balance of a bit of native bush, and we've also planted some plantation mainly for shelter. We're a sheep operation, and we find that we're lambing in September and exposure can be one of our biggest losses in our lambs, so trees play an important role in minimising that.
While providing an alternative source of income, giving farmers certainty in uncertain times.
We're targeting 15,000 hectares over 5 years, so that could be many hundreds of farmers. It's very early days at the moment. We've got 20 or 30 inquiries without even launching yet, so we're pretty optimistic that we're going to get that target.
Hoping to expand further south, then take the country by storm. In addition to maximising productivity, the program also enhances environmental outcomes.
Improved water benefits. There's you can improve water quality if you plant trees in the right locations, reduce soil erosion. There's habitat benefits for some animals with the right sort of trees, so you can improve wildlife outcomes as well.
Turning over a new leaf for local farmers and the industry as a whole. McKenna Bailey, 7 Tasmania News.
Winemakers around Tasmania are tallying up the tonnage, having completed their most recent grape harvest. Many growers on the east coast and in the south experiencing a below average year, coming at exactly the wrong time with thirst for our wines growing.
After a summer spent spawning the fruit for Tassie's famous wines, these tired vines are hibernating.
They were planted so famed fizz-labelled Jants could secure enough fruit.
The really only way to do that was actually find land and develop it. And then we've got security in both. We know we've always got it, and also we have more control because we have our own team.
Vintage 2022 saw 2,500 tonnes of grapes harvested across the state, down 15% from last year, when many winemakers sold out.
There'll be absolutely some excellent wines to try and to enjoy. There's just not going to be very much available.
Tassie's quite a volatile sort of environment, so you've got to be prepared that things are not always going to be. You can do everything you want, but the weather is definitely the stronger component.
With less grapes to go around, some just miss out. Winemaker Natalie Fryer doesn't own a vineyard. Instead, she buys fruit, relying heavily on the relationship she builds with growers.
If you are more bouncing along on the waves of outrageous fortune, you can get stung. This happened to me once before, where the grower needed to fulfil 2 contracts, and the people picked earlier than me, and there was no fruit left for me.
Most contracts are 3 to 5 years long to give some stability, but when the grapes aren't growing, there's only one option.
Make less. And that's what we did this year. We will just make less wine, which is difficult because our demand is very much telling us we need to make more, so we just make less.
Wine Tasmania has found pruning techniques can be key to stabilising yield. They're hoping further projects can help them in the future.
This cool climate gives us amazing quality wines, reliably gives us amazingly quality wines, but it also gives us those really risky situations where we do have our yields impacted quite often.
A risky business growing Tasmania's world-famous wines. Josh Duggan, 7 Tasmania News.
Some relief has set in for the Hobart Chargers women's side after finally breaking through for a win. The Chargers had lost 12 games straight before overcoming Dandenong.
Whilst we were winless, I don't think at any stage we sort of felt hopeless, if that makes sense. So that, I guess that confidence was always there, and I guess that's why we were able to remain so positive.
While Mariana Tolo shot 18 points on debut for the Tornadoes. She's an ideal ally alongside Keely Froling, who scored 25. The pair even share the same birthday, which they celebrated on Saturday with a big win.
I think Tolo, that's the beauty of her. She fits so well in with any team she's in, and she just kind of plays her role and does what she has to do. So she's really slotted right in, and it's been great to have her.
The Tawns travel with the Northwest Thunder to play Eltham and Ringwood in Melbourne this weekend. Devonport's Anya Lowe has signed with a new professional team for the rest of the year. She'll ride for Dutch team AG Insurance NXTG, which is among the leading development squads in women's cycling. Tasmania could be looking at its next Olympic BMX riders. Brother and sister Ollie and Isabel are the only locals heading to the BMX World Championships in France, a sibling rivalry which spurs each of them on. As soon as the gate slams down, these speedy siblings spring into action.
Bit of adrenaline, it's just fun.
Ollie Beams was riding almost as soon as he could walk. The 12-year-old is among the youngest handlebar heroes heading to France, having honed his skills on this Berrydale pump track.
Muscle memory and just the same over and over again.
He was part of the reason why sister Isabel also jumped on the bike.
I was always watching him ride, and then as more girls were doing it, I wanted to join in.
And although they're used to competing against each other,
I can beat him depending on the day.
Their next rivals will be from around the globe as Tasmania's sole representatives in the BMX World Championships.
My fingernails will be very short, I think. I'll be glued to the TV.
Success could spell a fast track to the Olympics, where they'll feel the same bumps as their BMX idols.
Sam Willoughby, I always used to watch videos about him constantly, all day about him.
An obsession bearing fruit for the fledgling BMX bandits. The Devonport Strikers' prayers have been answered, locking in a night game for their historic clash against Wellington Phoenix. The Strikers will play their Australia Cup round of 32 game on Wednesday, August 3 at 7:30. It'll be the first time a Tasmanian team has played an A-League side in the competition. The club is anticipating as many as 5,000 spectators to make the trip to Valley Road on the night. Wicketkeeper Emma Mannix-Jeeves is being welcomed back at the Hurricanes. Dropped from the club after just 5 games in the 2019-20 season, Mannix-Jeeves revived her career in the women's one-day competition, scoring an unbeaten century in Tasmania's WNCL title win in March.
Good evening. Flinders Island, Strawn and Smithton now top today with 15. Hobart registered 12, the Northern Centres 13. Butler's Gorge the low with -5. However, daytime temperatures were close to or just above average. King Island and Friendly Beaches 14, Low Head, St Helens and Grove 13, Ooze 9, Lyre 7. Low cloud streamed over the north and east of the state today ahead of the curved cloud there to the west, which is the oncoming cold front. More low-level cloud partially covering southern shores of the mainland as well and up off the east coast. Tomorrow a high sits over the Bight. That'll extend a ridge over most of the nation. We'll see that synoptic chart there as that high creeps right across Australia. The low pressure system's well off over the Tasman Sea and the cold front crossing Tasmania. Northwest to southwesterly winds at 15 to 20 knots and as strong as 30 knots over the west coast. Swells to 4 metres there. Strong wind warning that's been issued for waters from southeast Cape up around the west and north to St Helens Point. Hobart tomorrow, a high of 13, a shower or two. Showers increasing for Cygnet, 13 the top as well, 13 for New Norfolk. Launceston, 13 degrees, showers easing. Showers easing also from Devonport, 11 the high for Campbelltown with a shower or two. 12 for Burnie, showers for Strawn 12, 13 the top for Smithton, while in the east tomorrow, St Helens a possible shower and 14, partly cloudy for Swansea, Fingal a high of 12 degrees. On Friday, showers mainly over the east and south and over the north later in the evening. Showers on Saturday, once again mainly over the east, south and central areas, and on Sunday mostly fine, sunny over the west but a possible shower over Burnie. Partly cloudy in Perth and Adelaide tomorrow, a shower developing in Melbourne, showers clearing from Sydney at last, 18 degrees, a sunny 23 in Brisbane. Bit of cloud about, mostly, 11 degrees in Hobart, 10 in Launceston and 11 in Devonport. No time to muck around tonight, Kim, so that's good news for everyone.
Indeed it is. Thank you very much, Murph. That is all your news too. Good night.